that we're going to get some pretty potent junglers potentially sneaking through here unless we get like Vi Skarner ban on this turn.
Yeah, indeed. There are a couple of those, very strong junglers still.
Oh, not Skarner.
Not Skarner. We did lose that one earlier on. God, it feels like years and years ago that we ended up losing that one. Sedge is available. I think that's kind of the best in-class jungler still really left available, unless, of course, we do see the Vi be allowed through right here. Would be a little bit risky. In fact, it is just going to be the ban right here onto the Yorick. Get rid of that one. You don't want to have the game state changed up all of a sudden to something you're not necessarily particularly used to. Completely different way of playing it is alongside that. And it is going to be the Vi going off of the board right here. So, Sejuani available for either of these teams. Very strong in the meta at the moment. Works in a lot of different good compositions. And actually, the Sejuani Yone is available if you want to pick that one up for yourselves. That's something we've seen banned out quite a lot. And IP can grab that combo right here for themselves if they want it.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Bloxer. I feel like that's a very obvious turn. But this is an NIP team. I'm not saying Doinb can't play it, but you know, Sejuani Yone has worked really well for teams like Top Esports. I think Kanavi and Creme can play it very well. You know, I think BLG can run it very well on top of that. But I don't think of Doinb as like a big Yone guy. And they're putting a lot. They are already marking this game as Aki, we need you, buddy. Leave.
Yep.
Take a break. We're picking the Viego, playing for resets. Are we really about to blind a Silas, who has been Doinb's best champion in Split 2 so far, I would say, but that'd be dangerous.
It would very much be, and it would be a bit of an odd one when the only available ulti that you can see is the Grand Starfall. Not a bad one to necessarily take if you want to be proactive around the map, but I think the Aurora are going to be a little bit safer right here. We have seen Doinb's Aurora not necessarily look like the best. He's also had situations where he's been able to one-tap people. It very much depends on how well he gets out of this laning phase right here. We'll see what Creme actually wants to take into him at the moment. It's just going to be the Renekton picked up right here. 4-3-6-9, blinding that one early on. Now, it's got a lot of decent matchups for itself. This would be very funny if you take this one here.
Yeah, I was curious. Also, the one like adage of picking Silas is you can now like dare an Alistar pickup because well, Alistar's gone. Dude, I don't even remember Fearless. I'm pulling a 3-6-9 from last draft where I forget what champions we can't pick anymore. Ahri's going to be locked in. Ahri Aurora, pretty classic LPL mid lane matchup. And this is what I like. Let's get Shanji on. This guy doesn't care if he loses lane. He's just looking to be a tank menace, and he's going to allow for another NIP comp to be pretty potent. Now he's going to allow for an NIP comp to be pretty potent in the late game. We get Ornn augments, boosting up that Viego, frontline tank, making himself a team fight comp for NIP.
Absolutely, and NIP, they have been finding some decent successes during team fights, at least in the early stages of the last couple of games. Later on, it's been a little bit trickier for them to do, but right now their composition has quite a lot of late game scaling you can play around. I very much like this ban of the Jinx here from TES. I think the Jinx would have rounded this composition out incredibly well, giving you such a potent late game availability. Now, with the Jinx and this Kalista taken off the board, all of the ADCs we've lost previously, we are very much down in the depths when it comes to ADC pickups. What do Leave and JackeyLove have available for them? In terms of things we've been seeing recently, Ezreal is still available. That's very standard. Now going to be taken off the board. So now I think we are truly in the weird kind of pickups. Jhin, Aphelios, Draven, those are the only top tiers that are still kind of available. Xayah is around. You could grab a Xayah or a Khan maybe if you wanted to for TES. I think it'd be a bit risky.
Oh, please no, Mel AP carry. Please.
Mel DC.
I mean, we've seen it. I mean, I had to watch him from Waka at one point, so it's real. The Leonis can come across. Oh, Ashe Braum. Yeah, that's a big thing. You know, the TES in their last series, they finished off a series win with JackeyLove and Chris going to Ashe Braum. We talked about their playmaking ability. We haven't had JackeyLove on a champion that can. We haven't since last game we didn't get him on a playmaking champion with the Kai'Sa in that way. He did a pretty good job on the Varus. So they're gonna go Ashe Braum immediately though. Bloxer, you're putting a lot of the damage eggs in the 3-6-9 basket this game.
Oh yeah, you are. You very much are hoping, at least in the early stages, 3-6-9 is able to do his thing, get aggressive with this one. But of course, there are a couple of champions you can jump here relatively effectively. Aurora, especially pre-6. And it is going to be that Ziggs locked in. Yeah, we were really running out of great ADCs to go for, so go towards an APC instead. Leaves Aki as the only real AD damage that you've got for yourself on NIP. Risky to do when there is a Brom, when there is a Renekton. Even the Pantheon here can get pretty tanky. Might be a little bit of a worry to try to get through those. Still, it's a well-rounded composition overall for NIP.
I think this is the closest I feel this matchup is from draft of the series. I really do. It's clear compositional strengths and weaknesses. I think it's very interesting, like you pointed out, that Aki's going to be the only AD damage. On the flip side, Creme is the only AP damage on this Ahri. So I wonder how that itemization is going to come across for armor versus MR placements. I don't know what can happen because we just came off the most topsy-turvy game of the LPL in 2025 so far. So expectations are scattered to the wayside. But what we know is that once we get onto this rift for Game 3, one final time tonight, either NIP will get a clutch win over a playoff lock team right now in Group Ascend and Top Esports. The defending champions, the one that knocked them out of Split 1 playoffs. Or Top Esports will cement themselves at the very top of the LPL for now and send NIP back down to the depths. Two realities, two scenarios. One must become a reality as we head back to Summoner's Rift.
Let's see it. Let's see it. I want good League of Legends, and I want no tech pauses from my games in front of me right here. As we jump onto the Rift right now, very different compositions between these two teams, right? You've very much got a pick-based composition out of TES, whereas NIP are going to be far happier to play these in a more front-to-back style. They're going to have great control over these choke points as well, especially with the Ziggs. Let's see which of these two styles can prevail here.
Already, TES looking to get a bit aggressive, going for some wards. Chris trying to get value out of those Braum brittle passive stacks. One more auto. Leave will be stunned up. JackeyLove and Creme are here. Green starts the charm, so Leave does have to flash under his 2-2 turret.
Did they get him?
Follow across the fade away. Q from Chris. He earned that kill, and he sings it home. First blood to your defending champions.
The team chance hadn't even ended, and you're still going to be able to pick up that first kill. This is what we were talking about, right? There's a high possibility that TES are very annoyed at themselves for losing that previous game. They won't have wanted to have gotten so far behind in the first place, then to throw the comeback they had worked so hard for. Not going to be happy about that one. And getting that initial kill is actually going to be pretty impactful because you do get the reset out of Chris, but this isn't going to be Shadow Gold that you've technically got in your inventory but can't really use. He's actually going to be able to get back to base here with the boost. So that's going to make this Braum Ashe that much more oppressive during the early game.
We stressed it once we got into this matchup that the bottom lane would be the highlight to watch, and it has not disappointed. Leave an MVP performance on the Lucian a game ago, but JackeyLove and Crisp have been so powerful, so hard to budge in lane, and they've got themselves the most prominent 2v2 lane, maybe in bottom lanes right now in the meta. The question really becomes, what does the rest of the map look like here, especially knowing our junglers are mirrored on their clears. Aki will arrive towards the bot side with Kanavi working his way back towards top.
Now with the split map right here, it'd be interesting to see if we actually get any early ganks going down. Kanavi is going to be spotted out. Good ward put down by Doinb means that there's not going to be any surprises about where the jungler for top is going to be at. Should be the same sort of thing spotted very soon for Aki. He's got himself a ward right now on his Glomp. So with these junglers heading around on opposite sides, no real gank opportunities that early on. It's now going to be on the lanes to do what they do best. Mid lane, very rare to get solo kills there at the moment. Same sort of thing top lane, although we did get one in game number 1. It's very much bot lane where I'm going to be looking for some potentially explosive plays.
Oh, there we go. The explosive satchel throws JackeyLove closer to Leave. He burns Cleanse for now. Holding on to that flash, though, is Braum brittle passive stacks bailing out JackeyLove, but nerves really showing on both sides of this bottom lane matchup.
Yeah, despite the early kill that you were able to get onto Chris, JackeyLove now going to have to go back to base at a very inopportune time. Should be able to get back without losing too many minions, but he is going to lose a little bit of both XP and gold. Not ideal this early on, not for this kind of pick composition where you're very much reliant on your Ashe to be that main damage threat onto things like Shanji and ppgod, who are just going to be doing so much work with their tanky champions here. And with the threat of the ornaments in the later stages of the game too, TES, they kind of need to get a shifty on with this one. You really don't like scaling into the late game with a Pantheon jungle.
It's true. They are definitely a ticking time bomb comp, but they need to make sure to not get too impatient. This comp, like you mentioned, relies a lot on the ultimates. The Grand Starfall, Gentle Crystallized Arrow. Those are the big ticket items that are going to allow them to start looking for pick plays to try and build up on that kill lead. But looking forward to this next window. First Dragon is spawning under a minute. Grubs will follow a minute after. We'll see where the priorities lie for both these teams, because as much as the LPL loves Grubs, neither one of these teams are very much about side lane pressure in this one.
Much more about going toe-to-toe, either with the picks or with the actual straight-up 5v5 team fights that NIP are more going to be looking towards. So, with the Drake spawning in just about 20 seconds time, we do currently have Kanavi in the area, and his bot lane can attempt to establish a bit of a push. They need to be careful with that, though. You don't want to step too far forwards. We've seen what can happen if Leaf manages to land one of those satchels. It might actually be a gank, though. Kanavi going to get in here unspotted right now.
Navi, the first team jungler right now in split 2, looking to make his mark. Gets the stun, looking for the Braum passive. There's no flash on Leave, and he goes down once more. Kanavi earning the kill, singing the kill home. 2-0 up on the kill count in the name of top esports.
Really unfortunate there. NIP just lost track of where Kanavi was in the jungle. If they knew where he was, they would not have been that far forward without any vision behind them. Instead, just stepping up, thinking they were close enough to their tower to be alive. But it's a really good timing as well on that gank, because it's just before the flash comes back up for Leave.
Also, Aki tries to find a counter in camps. Doesn't find any camps. Good sidestep on the stun there from Creme, who does not have the Spirit Rush, holding on to that flash, and he's not going to have to pay for it with his life here. Kanavi here to cover. Doinb getting ult first does not end up costing TES too much.
Are just going to be okay for the minute with the 2 kills. They're going to be up by about 1,000 gold. Nothing too much at this point into the game. Interesting, though, that we did see the early play towards bot side for Kanavi. Doesn't go towards Drake, though. Instead, decides to make his way up towards the top side of the map. This is now going to be that 1-for-1 trade that we see oh so often. Kanavi going to get the grubs for himself. Aki going to pick himself up this first Drake. Chemtech, not the most impactful of the individual Drakes to be getting. You don't mind giving this one over. And I think more than that, it's about the fact that you now get to choose right here as TS. You can try go for the second set of grubs if you want. If you get all 6, that's awesome. But if you don't, giving them away, it being 3 for 3, really is no skin off your back.
Feels like the plus side of the early trade for sure. Leans towards TES. And again, like we talked about, this is how top-tier LPL teams find big wins, big spots. It's just these small little advantages that they build up and accumulate into a bigger snowball. Even if TES definitely have to try and push that snowball down the hill as quickly as possible, knowing how their comp is built together.
Very much. This is not like the previous game where they had so much extra scaling. No, they very much need to get a move on with this one. Like I said, don't want to over-aggress. You need those ultimates, but now you've got those level 6s available. Could potentially see something interesting going on at some point. For the minute, standard lane assignments. We're not seeing anybody moving around at this point. 3 minutes until the next set of grubs are going to spawn, and 4 minutes until the Drake is available. Oh, interesting.
Shanji not happy about losing that big stack on his turret.
Oh my.
He's slamming 369. This guy's got dominance, and he's still losing. Not enough for the kill threat. Assassin Ornn isn't in the cards for Shanji just yet.
This is exactly what we wanted to see right here from Shanji. Yeah, you're on the Ornn, so you're not exactly expecting to win. Still, though, you could do a shocking amount of damage. I've seen far too many Ornns get solo kills seemingly out of nowhere. Now, though, Shanji, without any mana, this is risky.
All right.
Okay.
269, not too confident to go for that kill. Maybe didn't have enough cooldowns there. And I want to say, you know, TS have been more proactive. They've got kills on the board. They've got early grubs, but gotta give Shanji some credit. He is doing a decent job at the weak side Ornn. Down just a couple hundred gold, and that's all you need. You need to not give 369 a huge lead as the really primary damage threat of TS's comp.
Yeah, absolutely. He can get himself involved in a lot of these fights. It's going to be a good thing for top. Still, things pretty calm. Now going to be about 2 minutes until the next grub is going to spawn. And remember, this is an incredibly important matchup for both of these teams. NIP specifically, they need this win here if they don't want to keep sliding further and further down towards the bottom of this group ascent.
And also, everybody, we got to think about the circle of suck implications, right? You get a lot funnier if TES end up falling to NIP as one of their 2 losses. Yeah, I always got to think about the circle of suck.
Yeah, the circle of suck has been pretty strong, actually, in the LPL in this split, too. So many teams falling to members, you just don't... Oh, FPX, they're an easy... Wait, why did they win? Why did they beat BLG? What? Why did we see that? All of these questions and more answered on the LPL week on week. For right now, NIP, they've got themselves to match point, right? They've put themselves into a good spot versus TES, but in this game at least, TES do have a slight advantage right now. The minute junglers both hovering around towards the bottom side of the map. We haven't seen that first Grand Starfall out of Kanavi. It's going to be really important to see what he can do with that. It's the same with a lot of these champions, right? Nocturne, Pantheon, they're all about what can you do with that first ulti, because if it's effective and you get some good gold out of it, amazing. If not, it's a long cooldown, and it really just delays your ability to get into the game.
I see Kanavi using it pretty soon here as the grubs are about to spawn 20 seconds out. You can see TES make the first move on the board, setting JackeyLove up towards the top side, like this call into the Ornn. As long as you're positioning fine, should be comfortable to shove waves into this Ornn, and that allows more of the river to go to your control of TES. Leave does have teleport as that AP carry on the Zig, so if NIP want to, they can bring all 5 members up to this kerfuffle as well.
Where is going to be that bit of engage? Yeah, like I said, TES going to start this one up, but they're getting a little bit surrounded here. The call out TES is to try to go for Shanji, but you're not going to be able to kill him here. They're just going to get pushed away.
Here we go. Doinb pulls the trigger. Between Worlds going to slow everybody up. Kanavi going to block a ton of the opening damage. Chris gets a good glacial fissure down. Kanavi looking for the turn. They have teleport coming through. Reinforcements are here, and it's 3-6-9. The big bad Croc looking to mess up NIP. Gets a ton of damage down with the Call of the Meek, finds the kill, and TES are just wiping the floor with NIP. They didn't need that big-time Grand Starfall. They've got the big-time Big Grand Croc. I'm running out of adjectives for TES and 3-6-9, but it's 4 kills, count them, to stack up for a big-time lead for your defending champions.
Leave, the only member to not get caught in and amongst the maul of that one, is just going to use the ulti here to clear out the wave, stop this top lane tower from falling. That plate's still going to pop, though, and TES, they get themselves a massive advantage off of that one. 3,000 gold in the league. The grubs don't even fall off the back of that one. Arky now going to go towards this Drake for himself. Potentially, we'll see if TES want to go re-engage around these grubs. Let's see the replay, though, because that was a crazy fight.
Not enough time. I want to see, Kanavi uses that vulnerable really well.
Oh, it's so good.
Glacial Fissure, so much bodyguarding.
Yes, Crisp with the Glacial Fissure is huge, but I think you're absolutely right. More than that, the shield is everything. You just can't get that initial kill, and then the reinforcements roll on in. Creme is able to land a great charm to be able to pick up that initial kill, and then finally use the Grand Starfall just to be able to pick up the final one, as Kanavi takes that away.
Sweet Doinb. Welcome to the Freljord, my friends. Down he goes. TES, they're just a different breed when it comes to elimination matches, and they're showing it. 7-0, nearly flawless game in the opening 13 minutes of this one.
And while we were in that replay, TES actually were able to bully their way in and pick themselves up that Drake. That's now 1 Drake apiece, and the rest of the grubs are still available at this point. You can see Creme walking up to them right now to get a little bit of vision. If you can grab 6 grubs and 1 of the Drakes here, that's a great way to start this game off right here for TES. 7 kills as well, certainly not going to hurt.
This is why we talk about the different levels right now between NIP and TES, and how the foreshadowing of that came in last Split 1 playoffs, where that's where a lot of people feel like TES started their climb all the way through the lower bracket to championship, to that first stand spot on the international stage. You can see how the foreshadowing bodes true here right now, with TES on the cusp of a 7-1 score in Group Ascend, and NIP, after the most heroic of comebacks in Game 2 are now just scrambling for kills, scrambling for turrets, for all they have to their name right now is a dragon.
One lonely Drake at the moment, and you can see Leave just had to flash away from that enchanted crystal arrow coming downtown. Arky now trying to go for a potential little bit of a play into the opposition jungle. You can't dive, certainly, onto an Ashe Brom. That's a death sentence if you decide to go for that one. It's just a really tough game, right? You've got yourself the Viego, good reset, decent in terms of just trying to get involved in these team fights. But before that, you don't really have any lanes that are particularly winning that hard. Grand Starfall, oh boy, Leave.
Leave, oh poor Leave. Grand Starfall. It's not a Starfall, and it's a Yordle. Ooh, that Charm Whipping, though. It's going to make it one more auto, so...
It takes a little
bit
longer.
Perfect, but the kill score is still perfect. Up to 8-0 now for TES.
Yeah, exactly what you needed to do. And this is the Grand Starfalls that we really wanted to see from Kanavi. We need to see him be proactive, and he has been. So many Pantheons we see at this level and lower levels just aren't proactive enough. JackeyLove get potentially chased here. Yeah, no flash. Can he do it?
Blend.
Slowed.
Worlds, great use for Doinb to get closer, and JackeyLove is picked off. The first kill for NIP coming across is a catch JackeyLove on the turn.
Oh, just unfortunate there for JackeyLove that he was just not fast enough to be able to get away in this situation. He has the boots, but just going to get chased down. And now the turn around for TES. They're going to see what they can grab for themselves, potentially around this top side of the map. We've got the Herald spawning 40 seconds time. Minute 50 until the Drake is going to be available. And at the moment, TES, they're very much in the lead when it comes to their team fighting prowess. Just got the item advantages to their name at the moment. Good chunk of gold. 4,000 gold, 15 minutes into this game. That's a huge victory for TES, and it's mainly come through just moving around the map more effectively, using this composition with the global from Kanavi to just get involved.
The strengths of their comp, and it's what we talked about, you know, getting nitpicky, right? In a lot of the shortcomings of NIP, it really does feel like just not either drafting a comp that has cohesion they can play through, or failing to accomplish the goals of some of their drafts. I feel like that was the woe in Game 1, and again, as we talk about what separates an NIP that was in the upper bracket of Split 1 to our current defending champions, one of those things really feels like executing on drafted compositions.
That and positioning out of Leave has been the main things this squad has been faltering on. 369, he's just stepping up, and it's fine.
JackeyLove arrow finds Aki. Heartbreaker will not save you. Flash will not save you. 369 spells blood in the water, and he wants the feast. Down goes ppgod. Shanji having to flash for the hills as well, but Chris lands another Q, another concussive blow, another multi-kill pick play for Top Esports as they're running away with this one.
Yeah, they are going to lose some damage onto a couple of towers. You can see the teleport going down into the bottom lane to be able to stop Doinb from pushing there, but still, it's an overall great play out of TES. And now 369 chase Doinb away. Shouldn't be able to get this kill here. There is still a tower on the backside. Getting aggressive. Leave. I don't think you want to be stepping to Kanavi right now.
Does Kanavi actually want this dive? He misses the Q. I think he's going to fall. Flashes over the old Kanavi, getting fancy with the footwork. Still dies to ppgod though, but hey, that's not a kill over to Leave.
Yeah, it was good fun to watch that one go down. Just crazy with the way that you can step up to the opposition's bot laner and say, okay, goodbye. Have fun with that one on your grey screen simulator. Now got another Drake up and available. It would be the second for either of these teams. No soul point available, so not quite going to be as impactful. Still, Hashtag Soul, very, very strong. Great Drakes to be able to grab for yourselves. And TES, they are collapsing hard right now.
It's Chris once again leading the charge. So confident on this Braum pick, looking for those conclusive lows, those stacks on the Braum passive. And IP looking to make a bit of a stance here, reinforce the battle lines, but Chris trying to cut off the entrance of Shanji. He will arrive. You got Kanavi late to the play here. Creme going to pop the Spirit Rush. Kanavi over the wall, though, going to engage onto Shanji, and they're melting through the tank first. When that's going, that means you're way too far behind to compete, and it's just like knocking over dominoes with bowling balls right now for TES. Again, nobody drops. They find 3 kills. They find everything.
Okay. without jinxing or caster cursing, right? We're both thinking it, right? There's no way.
No.
There's no way. This one... No. I'm not going to finish this thought, because if I do...
I will. This is over.
Oh, no!
This is over.
Oh, no. You've gone and done it now. But, I mean, I think you might be right. In this situation, there's no way to step forwards. I love the combo right here between Chris putting up his Unbreakable and then Kanavi with his shield up as well. There's just no way you can actually deal any of the damage that you need to. All of your damage right here from NIP, pretty much directional, very easy to be blocked out. Leave specifically just not able to do anything in that fight. We've got more than enough damage on the overall composition right here for TES.
Nearly 8,000 gold up. We got the Dragons in tote, 6 grubs. Looking for the Rift Herald. It is procedural for top esports to come across this win here. It will take some monumental mispositioning from a team of veterans looking to attain a much higher goals than a series win against NIP. It's good to see them respond to adversity, or as many like to call it around the LPL, classic LPL games that we just had for that second one.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what we have come to know and expect from the LPL. Oh, this sucks. This is a hard... Leave is paying for the sins of having a good game previously. This is... I think he lives here, actually.
All right, slice and dice, Heartbreaker. Wow, all right.
Wow.
Well, kind of manifested that one. That is a gross misposition for 369. Rocky, don't get too big for your britches now. Between Worlds comes across, got into the backline, but Creme just popped in, had to say hello, and more importantly, goodbye to Ninjas in Pyjamas. Nearly dies to the turret there, hunting down Doinb, but the turret drops. Shanji and Doinb soon to follow. Chris survives. Charm hits for Creme.
Wait.
Doinb, though, actually ends up fighting the kill there. Seeks out. So pretty close in numbers, but it's still a TES win, and they're taking more turrets.
Exactly, that is a couple of kills back for NIP, exactly what they needed to try maybe squeak their way back into this game, right? They've got decent scaling. This is what we said last time. You've got ornaments coming later on. This is a rower build for Doinb, so it's going to take a while to get online. Same sort of thing for Leave. We're getting there. 2 items completed, and your opponent's composition should fall off pretty hard soon enough. Still, though, they are wrecking at the moment. I love this from Creme. Straight overall, picks up those 2 quick kills. Isn't quite able to finish the kill onto Doinb by the end, but at least stops Doinb from being able to do any return damage and keeps the rest of his team alive to be able to pick up this tower, grab the kill onto Shanji, and just overall turn this into a TES team win.
TES team win. Said that a lot of times in this game. We've also, in the series, see 369 of these sticks and arrows a couple of times. Luckily, Creme is here to teleport in to cover him. Astro not going to land. Here's a Grand Starfall. Shanji, you are flashing out when you thought you had a man advantage. You never have the man advantage the way TES are on the map.
No.
Hold on. Crisp. Easy dash on out of it.
Yeah.
NIP have to be careful to push any further without the help of the Ornhorn.
Absolutely, and 369 putting great pressure down into the top lane, which draws a couple members away. If they'd have stepped any further forward, could have been going down. I think he's now going to die for that. Yep, he stuck around a little bit too long, really needed to just turn around and book it away the second that we saw a couple members from NIP leave that play in the mid lane. And now that does mean you're going to be down a member around this potential play at Attica, and you can see pings going down. Teleports coming through as well, and Grand Starfall was used by Kanavi earlier on. He's in the top side of the jungle. He's got a long walk to come join up for this fight.
Yeah, we got 369 and up in 20 seconds. He has teleport, but NIP are not going to commit here. Desperation definitely going to play a factor in all of these moves, but they just don't feel confident even 4v5 right now matching TES unless they come playing their own jungle, but maybe using their own jungle loosely as a term at this point.
Yeah, I mean, technically they own it, but they really can't step up into this one in a lot of situations. You can see right here, Creme just stepping forwards, not really too worried about getting jumped. And there was also, the Atakan going down between JackeyLove and Kanavi. That's why Creme and friends are stepping so far up, just to buy them a lot more space. Going to be able to grab all of this XP advantage from the petals. Also going to help out with the drakes that you've already gotten and the potential for more 6 grubs too. This is overall a great time to be able to get yourself a Ruinous Attica.
more XP gains. You can see the level differences across the board are starting to build up. Mainly Kanavi is 3 levels up right now on Aki. That is a very big lead. He is up 3,000 gold also, as NIP are just left to pick up the crumbs that TES leave. They're now on Hextech Soul Point. They picked that up, 1-up, no contest. Now they'll set them sights on shoving more waves into position and see what picks they can find with their Ash Arrow Grand Starfall combination. Like I mentioned earlier, it's procedural for this composition. It's a given the TES come away with this win, barring anything crazy. They are starting to get picked off on their lonesome, but Crisp is a hard target to burn through. They're committing a lot of ultimates. That was Solar Flare between worlds a lot with the Heartbreaker as well, but it is another pick to Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, it is something. It's a little bit of gold back. Let's see what TES can do on the backside of this play. They are going to at least be able to get the Rift Herald to charge into this tier 2 tower. Should be able to take it down with all of the Void Mites available to them. Potentially try to ride the Herald away and said, no, just going to let that one die. So it is going to be a trade of support for tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. I'd say worth overall for TES. They've been able to extend their gold lead now to about 9,000. They are very much in control of this game, and you can see it here reflected in the way that the game is playing out and in the items. I mean, specifically look at the jungle items. You've got yourself no flash, one item, and now you're going to get jumped potentially by Kanavi. Not quite, whereas Kanavi has got those 3 items completed. Yes, the Pantheon does fall off in the late stages of the game, but because of how well this early game's been played out right here by Kanavi, Aki's going to be so far away from actually hitting his breakpoints and being able to go toe-to-toe with this Pantheon.
Toe-to-toe with such a core for TES that we've sung the praises of so many times. A resume is outstanding for TES, especially as the defending champions. And we're going to keep sounding like a broken record here, but a young team for NIP that's been put together from, pieces on former OMG rosters coming together with Doinb. Just hard for them to cut it in these series-defining matches. And again, against TES, it's showing in what is right now the most dominating game of the entire series.
Absolutely. I mean, NIP, they have managed to win a lot of series with one game, but not the series overall, right? They can't quite close these. Getting 2 wins in a row versus opponents has been something very, very tricky for them. We're seeing the exact same thing in this one right now, and they are just getting pushed around, bullied about. The Baron has now spawned TES. They've got the fast track towards it. Very much on vision of NIP. Don't know if they're going to want to start this one up straight up, but they can at least bully the NIP vision away, make it so much more uncomfortable for NIP to try step up, get the vision that they're going to need to be able to get involved. Shanji has now hit that level 15, so the ornaments are coming through at this point. The scaling is there. At this point, though, it feels like the extra stats that you get from ornaments are just making up for the item deficits that you're in, and not even entirely.
3 items, advantage to JackeyLove. Kanavi's up a full item right now over Aki, who, this Diego, remember, was R1 pickup. So
this was the thing they wanted.
Yeah, they wanted Aki to be the carry, and now they're reduced to ppgod flashing after Kanavi, but the Pantheon wants you to come into him with a ton of damage. Kanavi's able to kite back with the flash, and they're leaving JackeyLove with a flurry of arrows to just cut down all of NIP. Here's your knockout blow. The defending champions may fall, may stumble, but they will not be denied. Watch as TES goes to the top of Group Ascend, 7-1.
This should just be the end, as we are saying. 30 seconds until anybody's going to be back up and available. And with 6 grubs, these towers will fall incredibly fast. Great combos between this team after we have such a long game in game number 2. Game 3, it's so fast. TES, it was a stumble, it was a whoopsie, but they are going to be able to pick up this series versus NIP.
No better 2-game stretch encapsulates what it's like being an LPL fan than this 2-game stretch. The highs of the longest game in LPL so far in 2025, back and forth throws, Elders, Barons, all that, to the quickest game so far of the series, the most one-sided game of the series. If you're new to LPL, these are the 2 extremes, and everything else lands in between them.
This is what we see all the time. And what did we say, Slayer? It was always gonna go this way. As soon as that game 2 ended and we ended up in a game number 3, I was immediately like, right. There's no way that NIP pull this one back. Top are going to be annoyed at themselves, and they are just going to dismantle NIP. Hey, it means we get another 27 minutes of League of Legends on our screen. To be honest, if we're counting what happened previously, we got another 40, nearly 50 minutes of extra League of Legends between the previous game and this one, on top of what we could have. That's always fun, always great to watch a little bit more. But Top Esports, there's going to be some questions about them coming out of this series. Overall, though, they looked great in Game 1, great in Game 3, and they were even able to nearly mount a crazy comeback in Game number 2. I'm not that mad about it.
No, I'm not upset. In the grand scheme of things, like, knowing how grueling double round robin with 10 teams is, right? Like, playing 18 best of 3s. Every team, from top to bottom, has thrown games they probably should have lost by this point. We're this many games in. Every team's had stinkers. Every team has had bangers, but
yeah,
the prevailing thought, you see it down on your screen now. 7-1, Top Esports. For now, that is the top mark in the LPL until AL play JDG tomorrow. We'll see how that one plays out because they have a bit of a better win. I guess it's plus minus we're showing here.
Yeah.
But there it is. Top Esports, the defending champions, back to the top for now.
And they're going to be very happy about that one. We'll see if that is going to stand. Still, getting those top couple of spots is going to be incredibly important because remember, there's a chance that we're going to get some of these Group Nirvana teams make it into the playoffs if they're able to make their way through that last stand little bit. If you're sat as that number 1 seed going into the playoffs, you're up a bracket, you're going to have such an easy time. You could potentially end up versus some of the much weaker teams later on in the bracket if things shake out correctly. You're going to be very happy with that one. It's not just getting those top 4 spots, although those top 4 spots are the most important thing, getting yourself that little bit of a break between the regular split and the playoffs, but actually the seeding will still matter incredibly, so Top Esports are going to be very happy with picking up this win.
Very happy for the standing's sake, very happy for them showing resiliency once again, coming off of throwing multiple times. You know, how many teams do you see lose with Elder, Baron, every inhibitor down, every Nexus turret down? Top Esports does it.
Yep.
I think the resiliency factor of winning a series like this is most important as we take in the not as important stats. The resounding thing that's screaming out of all these is that this is domination from TES.
This is simultaneously the way you play a pick composition, which can be a little bit of a tricky comp to play if you're not very accurate with those arrows, if you're not constantly finding yourselves those engage options, and also the way that you play a Pantheon, a very, very tricky jungler to be able to make work, because if you start to fall behind even slightly, the champion has really no recourse to be able to get yourself back ahead. But in this one, Kanavi, one of our best players that we've seen across the course of the entirety of the LPL, not just in Split 2, but across the entirety of the year, has just been so strong. And this is exactly what we want to see off the back of a disappointing first stand. He's now arrived and is just taking people's names, and in this game on the Pantheon, made it work beautifully.
Putting up MVP-like numbers as he chases potentially that award for Split 2. As we get a look back at some of those replays from this game. But on the flip side of this, you know, talk about all we're lifting up TES, the story here for NIP, Bloxer, I think rings true, is just the story of 2 different teams, the story of inconsistency across this series.
They have such good moments, and then there's mispositions out of leave. There's just bad decisions on team fighting early on. In this game, they were trying to scrap a little bit too early. You end up losing that initial kill to the Brom, and then from that moment on, it never felt like there was a single moment for NIP to get back into this one. But then they have some great moments, some great team fights, some great snap decisions. You know, they don't feel like a bad team overall. We watched some pretty poor League of Legends in that first series of the day, as Group Nirvana often does give us. That's not what NIP are, but they just need to get that little bit more consistent. The bones are there. The just overall structure isn't happening at this point.
Yeah, it's painful to watch because at moments, like you called out in Game 2, like NIP shows that they're a team that could beat the best of the best. Like take TS to the brink. They were a team knocking off, you know, like IG. I know IG's a much different team in Split 1, but they were in a group with IG.
Yeah,
handled them pretty well. They sent AL to 5 games in the upper bracket. You're like, this team can't be 2-5, but then you watch moments like Game 3. You watch some of their other losses to get them, the other 4 losses to teams that you didn't expect to see them lose to. It's the variance on NIP in Split 2 might be the highest variance of any team, I would say, in Group Ascend. Maybe besides like the resurgence of FPX taking some series off, pushing their ceiling up. But outside of that,
I would agree. Crisp, okay. Crisp.
All right, I like it.
I agree. The Brom was really nice. A huge part of that victory there was just a part of almost every single kill. I think that is legitimately one kill that he was not a part of in the end of that game, and got that first kill that really destabilized what it was that NIP were trying to do. Absorbed a ridiculous amount of damage in that one. Well deserved here. Well deserved
indeed. That is Chris picking up his first MVP of the LPL in 2025. So big shout out to Chris there. That makes it so that every single member of TES now has an MVP in the regular season. So shout out to Chris. That Braum was excellent. JackeyLove bringing the Ash Braum as well. The duo we talked about being potent for this bottom lane matchup showed out. TES showed out. Bloxer, what are your final thoughts here on the LPL landscape here before we close out this broadcast?
I love Group Nirvana. It's such a mess, but such a fun mess, and I was very happy to be able to see that one. Do OMG pick up a single game for themselves at some point? We'll see. In terms of Group Ascend, though, it's so much closer than maybe the standings are beginning to make it seem. It's not like these top teams are just one-tapping these bottom teams in the standings, and the Circle of Suck is real. We nearly got to see it again today at this point. God, I love LPL League of Legends.
I love the LPL too. Always enjoy casting alongside you, Bloxer. But that will do it for our day. Before I have one final message here. Thank you very much to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Meng, and Forrest. Without joining that crew, their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back